World Series is set with the LA Dodgers looking to win it for the first time in nearly 30 years. And the Houston Astros looking to win it for the first time ever. We'll tell you what we think, look back at the postseason, and much more as Prime Sports Baseball with Scott Zolatoro on Prime Sports Network starts now. It is Tuesday, the 24th of October, 2017. I'm your host, Greg DePalma, and another postseason is nearly over. We're in the World Series stage, and you gotta like it when a couple of teams, again, like the Dodgers, haven't been there in a while, haven't won it in a while, and Houston's never won it, and that's cool. There's nothing wrong with that. We saw the Cubs win the World Series last year for the first time in a generation, and this is good. So, of course, I'd like it to be the Nationals, but it is what it is. I'm used to it, and I'm sure my time will come sometime in the next 30 or 40 years. Let's welcome in Scott Zolatoro to the program. And Scott, your team won the championship last year. I will say this, though. You tell me, being a Cub guy, you're the perfect guy to ask. I'm very, very interested in what I'm hearing about Dave Martinez. So I know it's not easy to go out and get managers that you can feel good about. Sometimes you got to take chances on guys that have never been managers before. And sometimes it's better. I mean, just take a look at what we've seen this year with guys that have never been managers before and the successes they've had. So I'm for that. But you tell me, what do you think about the possibility of Dave Martinez being a Nationals coach? Would that be the manager? Would that be the right move?
I mean, look. It's always scary hiring a first-time manager. But this guy, who has he just been the number 2 to for the last 10 years? Joe Maddon. He's been Joe Maddon's right-hand guy. He followed him from Tampa Bay to Chicago, and he's pretty much sat, right next to him at every game, and he knows a lot. Don't forget that he played Major League Baseball for 20 years, too. So I think you could definitely do a lot worse. I'm not sure there is totally much better out there.
Yeah.
And I think he'd be a great hire. I think any Cubs fan would be very sad to see him go. I think it'd be a great hire for the Nats. And to be honest with you, at this point, it might be the right hire. He's only 53 years old. So he's already been the candidate for manager positions. Let's put it that way. Since 2008, but he was loyal to Joe Maddon. He's waiting for the right job to come around. He didn't want to go to, I think the Reds offered him in the past. He didn't want to go to a job that where he thought he didn't have a chance to succeed. This would be a perfect situation for him. It would be a good fit, and I think for both parties, it'd be a pretty solid match.
Yeah, I was actually surprised when Rizzo let Baker go, but it was surprisingly good. Not because I'm totally against Baker, nice guy and all. Not necessarily thinking it was his fault they lost. I definitely think it was more of this is like the Nationals right now are the Red Sox and the Cubs. That's what they are now. That's what they are. That's right. The next Red Sox Cubs. They're just finding ways to lose. And I think we kind of saw that in the Cubs series because one of two ways to look at the Cub-Nats series was. One, that, the Nats might have been the better team, but they just, come on, I mean, they just can't win. And when an opportunity was out there, they just can't do it. And you saw the proof because the Cubs moved on and did nothing, and the Dodgers beat them. I also look at it more as what happened last year when the Dodgers basically killed themselves to beat the Nats in the first round. Over pitching Kershaw and Jansen. They were doing everything possible to scrap and claw to get past the Nats. And they played the Cubs. They really didn't have nothing left. And the Cubs looked like they pretty much had nothing left. They looked at that first game that was there for the taking. Once they couldn't get that first game, and the Dodgers kind of got their wheels under them and won that first game, it was over. I mean, the Cubs just looked like they were done. Their pitching was overextended. And that's what happens when you struggle in the regular season and don't put yourself in a position to rest guys like the Dodgers did and play teams like Arizona in the first round.
Yeah, I mean, look, that series was painful to watch, but what the Dodgers did and what they have done all season with their pitching is just outstanding. It's just It's so good, and the Cubs what had I think 5 hits over the 5 games off the Dodgers bullpen. I think it took 13 innings for the Cubs to get a hit off of the Dodgers bullpen, and the only base runner they had in those 13 innings was Kenley Jansen hit Rizzo on the hand. So it's just unbelievable. I mean, the fact that they're on such a pace is unbelievable. And the Astros had a scary series themselves, and just dominated at home. And this is going to be one heck of a World Series. This is really, really exciting. We had a really good one last year when people thought that was probably one of the best in baseball history. And this year, I mean, you're shaping up to have a really, really good series. You got so many superstars in this World Series, more than last year. Last year, I know you had the National League MVP and Chris Bryant, but the Indians weren't really a superstar-made team. They were just a bunch of really strong, position players with some, with Corey Kluber. This team, this Astros team has bona fide superstars on it, and Correa and Altuve, and obviously the guy on the mound for the Dodgers tonight is the biggest name of anybody.
Yeah, I mean it's look, if you look at the American League, the Astros, I think there was a little bit of an issue there, hiccup, with the Yankee series with the bullpen. And look, you can look maybe 3 or 4 years from now. I think it's look. We always like to judge. I mean, sometimes people judge trades or non-trades or eras with teams, general managers, coaches. Sometimes too fast after a game, after a season. Sometimes you do have to wait until they're fired or let go and go back and say, okay, what kind of a job did they do? And I think that's going to be the case with Rizzo, with what he did not do to get Verlander and what that has done for Houston. Because
Yeah,
I talked with Ken for months about the fact that Rizzo needed to go out and get another starter, because what happens if they need that guy, and if they can't go with Strasburg and Scherzer, you can't lose in the first round in a 5-game series with either Gio or Tanner Rourke. That's exactly what happened. He did not go get Verlander. He could have traded for Vander. He didn't have to give up Robles to do it, but the Astros did it, and that is why the Astros have been able to move into the World Series, is because they made that move for Verlander, because with the way the bullpen's been going, they would have had no shot. I mean, we might see the Yankees in the World Series right now if it wasn't for that Verlander trade.
no, I mean Verlander. First of all, has quiet. It's it's unbelievable that it's been quietly he has gone under the radar in the playoffs. I mean, the guy in elimination games is one of the he's him and Bumgarner in the last 30 years. It's the two of them and it's nobody else in elimination games that you want to give the ball to. It's been outstanding. And I mean we'll see again tomorrow night when Verlander gets to go in game two. But look, it's past. It's time. It's unfortunately both our guys didn't make it. The way the Dodgers played in that NLCS against the Cubs, I'm not sure the Nats would have had much better of a shot anyway. I mean, they were just so dominant, and the pitching staff was just too good, and so it was miserable to watch that series. But I was able to appreciate the beauty in this Dodgers roster that was taking place. And then you also, I mean, you mentioned before about the first time coaches. You got a first time coach in Dave Roberts with his first team going tonight, and obviously AJ Hinch.
Yeah.
He coached a year and a quarter
Yeah.
with the Diamondbacks before he went to Houston, and
Yeah.
that was 6 years ago. So basically, he's a first year coach. So basically, there's two first year coaches going tonight, both former players, and that's what you would want. And Dave Martinez is the same kind of mold.
Well, I mean, with this Astros, see the Astros, the obvious weakness that they have against the Dodgers is going to be the bullpen. Now, the good thing is that McCullers is starting to pitch like the McCullers that we saw last year. Remember, we talked about this early on in the season when we were looking ahead at what the Astros postseason starters would look like, because we knew they were going to need a Verlander, but we were talking about who they could trust. And early on in the season, we were thinking, well, how can you not trust McCullers based on what he did last year? And he definitely had tremendous upside, but didn't pitch very well this year, considering his talent. But all of a sudden, he has also been a major. I mean, they're not here either. If it wasn't for McCullers being able to pick up his game in the postseason, so now they have three legitimate starters, but those guys are going to have to go long because that bullpen. I don't know what's happened to it. I mean,
No,
I don't know if
it's
it's a
shaky. It's
confidence
very
issue or what.
shaky. No, I mean, look, some of these guys. Look, this is what you were saying earlier in the year about this being a first time. I mean, a very young, unexperienced roster. These relievers have never seen the stage like this, and look, it was so obvious that even John Smoltz was saying it during Game 6 that Davinsky and Musgrove, these are guys, and even Giles, they just look like they had the jitters. They don't look like they look all season long. And look, everybody's expecting these guys to be professionals and be able to get the job done. This is a baseball game. This is what they do. Nobody in the world has can be so stone cold all the time. And look, it is very nerve wracking for AJ Hinch right now going into this series against a team that had a bullpen that, like I mentioned, allowed I think 8 hits over the span of 5 games, over 27 innings, or whatever it was, against the Cubs. The Dodgers bullpen is as good as it gets, maybe in baseball history in that playoff series, and so it's going to be a huge if the Stro starters not only can pitch well but can pitch deep, which means they got to keep their pitch counts low. And what have we been hearing all postseason about the Dodgers is they take more pitches than anybody else in baseball. It's going to be a huge, especially tonight, if Keuchel can come out and get through six and a third, 6 2/3. If he can get through 7 innings, that would be absolutely huge. But he doesn't always throw strikes, so he's going to throw a lot more pitches than AJ Hinch would love.
Well, what would you? I mean, would you try any kind of different strategy if you're Hinch? Because see, what I would do is, and I know this is going a little bit different, but I really believe that you have to be different here because you're the underdog. You should be the underdog. You've got a clear mismatch in that bullpen. And baseball nowadays is about the bullpens, and we know that. We saw it again in this postseason. And if it wasn't for Verlander going deep into the game, and then the Astros offense coming up, then it could have been the Yankees. So what I would toy with is starting Morton. I mean, Morton had 2 good starts, one really good start, which was his last start. So that was important. And I would put McCullers in the bullpen. And I would go because McHugh has played good in the bullpen. Gregerson's done good in the bullpen. You put McCullers in the bullpen. Now all of a sudden with Giles, now all of a sudden you've got somebody who can pitch multiple innings, sort of like what we saw with David Price. You got a guy that can pitch multiple innings in multiple days, and it stretches out your bullpen more. Because that bullpen, I'm sorry, unless you do something like that, I just can't see this bullpen holding up.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of agree with you. I think that there's so much right now. It's scary for the starters of Houston because there's so much pressure on them to go deep in these games. That you're right. I mean, I think that that just adds the pressure itself. And forget being in the World Series. The fact that you're not 100% certain in your bullpen is scary. And I think that that's something that AJ Hinch is going to consider to do, considering look how well it worked out in Game 7 of the Yankees series. You had Morton and McCullers throw a 3-hit shutout combined between the two of them, and it was outstanding. It was. I mean, they were just dealing left and right.
Yes.
And I'll tell you one thing. People have been reading, the Astros are just going to be so relieved they don't have to go against Aaron Judge. Oh yeah, well they'll go against the National League leader in home runs in Cody Bellinger, so it doesn't get much easier. The only difference is one's a lefty.
Yeah, I don't think.
And Justin Turner's on as scary of a pace as anybody in baseball right now. He tore apart the Cubs.
Yeah, I don't think. Yeah, I know the Yankees have an offense, but the Dodgers right now do have a scarier group of players to worry about.
Oh yeah.
Because you're not going to go. I mean, the Astros don't have to. I mean, I don't know exactly how. Again, I mean, I know. Look, 7-game series. So I don't. I mean, again, I don't see how it's not possible, especially since it's the last series of the season. I don't see how it's not possible to go with a 3-man rotation and try. I mean, even if you give up a game and say, you know what, even if we pitch Peacock in a game and we know we're probably going to lose that game, it's one game out of 7, and it doesn't interfere with the rest of the games by putting McCullers in the bullpen. I just think when you pitch McCullers, Keuchel, and Verlander, you're almost. I mean, those guys are going to have to go 7, 8 innings each time. And then you don't even know if it's going to be 1-1 by the time they come out of the game, and then you're toast. You're done. You're
Right.
not going to win.
Well, I'll tell you one thing, and obviously AJ Hinch is toying with this idea in his head. So the Astros have only announced their pitchers for tonight and tomorrow, whereas the Dodgers have announced their rotation for the entire series. It'll go Kershaw, Hill, Darvish, Wood, Kershaw, Hill, Darvish, just like that, you know. And that would obviously mean Kershaw could be ready out of the bullpen in Game 7.
Okay.
So if you're saying, I mean, look, you're saying Keuchel will go 3 times. If they were going to have somebody go 3 times, I would have assumed Verlander would have started Game 1, and he would have been the guy to go 3 times, because he's the guy with the postseason experience.
But at least you could also possibly have Verlander for an inning in a Game 7.
Well, right, and Verlander pitched on Friday, so that's the reason that he's not going.
Which you're okay with, because you got to the World Series. Yeah, so you're okay
with
that.
Oh, absolutely. Well, and it was his scheduled time to pitch.
Yeah. Yeah, so you're okay with that. But yeah, I mean, maybe that's what's going to happen. Maybe you never know. Look, we'll find out in the first 2 games, because if Lance McCullers, if we see him up in the bullpen, then because if he doesn't come in and pitch. Now look, I think it works out to Hinch's advantage if all of a sudden they get off to a good start in the series, and the Verlander and Keuchel are doing their job, and it's like, hey, we don't need him. Now I can pitch McCullers and start him in Game 3 and feel good about it. But, hey, man, Game 1, you find yourself maybe up 2-1, and it's a high pitch count, and you need somebody to come in the 7th to hold a 1-run lead. I think you throw McCullers in there tonight.
I think it's definitely something we could see. And look, Peacock didn't look good in his first start against the Astros. And a guy who I know they're trying to avoid very much is Liriano. So
yeah, you don't want
to avoid him.
That's what I'm saying. Nobody's the only guys who
only left they have in the bullpen. But.
It's only McHugh and Gregerson that have pitched well. That's it. So it's not much. And but anyway, we'll see.
Well, remember they did go with they went with the 3-man rotation in the first series against the Red Sox. They went Verlander, Keuchel, Peacock, Verlander. In the Yankees series, they did go with the 4 game, or the 4-man. So they have, like I said, it was, the guy who went twice in that first series was Verlander.
All right. Well, we'll see how it goes. It was, by the way, this whole thing about Girardi, I had a laugh all throughout the postseason with Girardi, with the whole news with him, because they get down early against Cleveland. It looks like they're going to get beat up, maybe swept. And, Joe Girardi should be fired. He's going to retire. If he doesn't retire, he's going to be fired. They come back and win. Then, all of a sudden, they're up 3-2 against Houston. And then they lose that. And it's almost like you're hearing it again, right after they lose to Houston. Joe Girardi should be fired. He did this and wrong. I mean, are these people crazy? I mean, this Monday morning quarterbacking nonsense makes me sick to my stomach. I mean, you just talked about how the slim pickings there are with managers in baseball. And look, if you just are tired of Girardi as an organization, you just want to move on, you want fresh blood, you have someone in mind, I'm okay with that. But this idea that Joe Girardi is the reason that the Yankees lost and didn't advance when this team had no right to be 1 game away from the World Series.
No, they're ahead of schedule, and look, this Astros team was the best team in the American League for most of the season before Cleveland, came on fire the last month and a half. This Astros team is good. They won 101 games in the regular season. They have 2 of the top 10 players in baseball. They have a former Cy Young on the mound going tonight against another Cy Young. I mean, it's because it's the Yankees, Any other organization would have appreciated how they were. Look, guess what? They said the same thing about the Cubs 2 years ago when they lost to the Mets. They were way ahead of schedule with all this all this youth, and they won the World Series the next year. I mean, you gotta be patient. You have 2 rookies in Sanchez and Judge who are leading your team. Those guys are gonna be there for years, and you also have other guys, Torres. You have so much youth that you have to trust. It's that stupid thing that everybody says about the Sixers, trust the process. Well, guess what? It really fits for the Yankees.
All right, so that's it for the. There's no other managerial searches going on. Just the Mets, right? Mets and Nats. Everything else. I mean, we heard that Gardenhire's going to Detroit, correct?
Yeah, just the Mets and the Nats.
Any news on the Mets? Anything that? I mean, isn't Joey Cora supposed to be a big name out there that should be a manager? Isn't he somebody that is? I haven't heard anything recently, but I mean, he seemed like a logical managerial candidate.
Yeah, nothing really yet for me though.
I was looking over some of the guys that were in the okay, take a look at some of these manager guys I was looking at after they got rid of Baker, and I was going through the list. And I'm like, who the hell are these guys?
Well, there you go. The Mets actually, as of a little while ago, hired Mickey Callaway as their new manager.
Did they really?
They did. 42-year-old, the pitching coach from the Indians, Mickey Callaway, is the new Mets manager.
Oh,
okay. As a couple hours ago.
So that must have just happened today then, huh?
Yes, it did.
All right. So and so what does he have? So he is he was the Indians.
42. Yeah. Oh yeah, he's the Indians pitching coach, which to me says a lot of good things and a couple of scary things. One is his pitchers are outstanding; he just can't stay healthy, and he's now going to inherit the same thing. Will he going with Matt Harvey and Syndergaard and all these other guys who have been injured on and on for the last couple of seasons?
Let's see. Here were the guys that the Mets canceled because they were thinking of bringing in other guys to interview. One of them was Cora, and another was Kevin Long. He is somebody that I have heard his name being bandied about. I have heard Mark DeRosa too, but I'm like, no, I'm not interested in Mark DeRosa. I mean, you're crazy. No. And Manny Acta, I don't think so. I don't think he's.
No, you don't want that either.
Yeah, he's just another retread.
As I know firsthand.
Yes, Joe McEwing. Never heard of Joe McEwing. Not sure who Joe McEwing is. So these were the guys that the Mets were thinking about, or they were considered finalists. Alex Cora. Let's see, what does it say here? And wait a second. Is Cora going to the Red Sox? Yes, Alex Cora is going to the Red Sox. There you go. So that's another managerial move that has.
Well, that was yesterday. Yeah.
Yeah. So Cora in the last 24 hours is gone. So he's a Red Sox. And so that's not surprising. So we knew that was somebody that had probably been the top guy, which is why he was the first guy. Well, he's second guy behind Gardenhire. So that's it then, right? Nothing else. Now that the Mets are done, the Red Sox are done, and Detroit's done. That's it. No more. Atlanta, do they have a head coach, a manager?
Let's see. There's so much going on.
Did they get rid of their manager?
Do.
No. Who was it? Their GM. That's the one that they had disagreement with in the front office. Okay, I know that there were some issues with the.
Oh yeah, Snicker was hired there last year.
Yeah, I remember there was somebody though that was in the organization that maybe it was I forget what it was. Again, it was somebody up in the organization, so it must have been a different role. All right, so that only leaves one of the best teams in baseball looking for a manager, but that's okay. Hopefully they'll get it right, and that leaves Dave Martinez with only one opportunity now to become a manager, and that's the Nats. I'm starting to feel pretty good about that. Dave Martinez to the Nats. So I think that'll get done. All right, so we'll talk again at some point during the series, as long as it's an entertaining series, and hopefully we have a good one, like you said at the very beginning. Hopefully it's a long one, and it's somewhere near as exciting as what we had last year with the Astros offense. With the city and the enthusiasm for a championship, that would be real fun. Let's see how it all unfolds. Your prediction?
I think Dodgers in 6, but I'm hoping Astros in 7.
Yes, I am definitely hoping for Astros as well. I think most people are, and why not?
I don't know. I mean, everybody wants to see. If you don't look, I would love to see Kershaw win. So I'm not. It's, for me, even though the Cubs just got beat by the Dodgers, it's not. Oh my God, I have to root against the Dodgers. It was a better team. It wasn't even close to the series. I was proud and surprised the Cubs got a game in that series, but I think the Dodgers are well worthy of winning the World Series. They have the best pitcher of my generation, and he needs a World Series.
Well, I will say this. I mean,
otherwise he's going to be the Dan Marino of baseball.
Yeah, but I feel this. I'll tell you. I feel more though for Verlander than Kershaw because of the fact that I think Verlander has proved it more in the postseason than Kershaw. So I really would rather have Verlander win it.
What better opportunity to prove yourself than what Kershaw has going right now?
That's right. That's right.
If he throws two great starts in this series, he will easily forget about the 14 he had before.
Absolutely. And on the flip side, if he loses a game or two in the World Series and the Dodgers, even if they win, people will go, but especially if they lose and he doesn't, then so that's why these big, this is the moment. This is where the big stars definitely have to come up big and form a certain legacy that will live on forever. And we'll find out whether or not Kershaw can get it done. The Dodgers are the favorite for a reason. We'll see if. And again, we'll talk later in during the series, hopefully, if it's a good one. So, Scott, appreciate your time, and I will talk to you sometime quite soon. And enjoy watching the game.
Enjoy.
All right, that's Scott Solatoro, and that'll wrap it up here for our World Series preview here on Prime Sports Baseball. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at PrimeSN, and also don't forget that we have a YouTube and iTunes page under Prime Sports Network. We'll see you next time here on Prime Sports Baseball. Don't forget all the other programming at Prime Sports Network, as well as our Lads football coverage at ourlads.com. For Scott Solatoro, I'm Greg DePalma. We'll see you next time.